expected to keep him here, but Rangers did acquire last summer David Robertson, Aberdeen born and bred. Rangers kick off. The temperatures have been dropping, but thanks to the undersoil heating system here at Pittodrie, good conditions underfoot. And it's a match to attract every football lover, even a pair of international managers as well. Graham Taylor alongside Andy Roxburgh. Gary Stevens with a free kick, looking for Mikhailichenko. McCoist. Oh, and Mikhailichenko came in, fell down, and the referee, who was no more than, 6 or 7 yards away, has given the goal kick.
I don't think there's really anything in this at all. A little dummy. Mikhailichenko's looking Stephen Wright it was that maybe made a little bit of contact there, but certainly not a penalty.
Well, Mikhailichenko, the Ukrainian, who must be used to sub-zero temperatures, protected against the cold by the gloves, but not, he feels, properly protected by the referee. Well, Mikhailichenko's expression showed that he felt that he had a cause for grievance, but the referee ruled against him. Little touch from Jess. Brian Grant trying to link up with him. Paul Mason. Irvin. Scott Booth, we expect to be on the right of the three up front for Aberdeen. And there is a real feeling amongst the loyal Aberdeen fans that the team are that much better when Alex Smith, the manager, does go with the three up front. They'll certainly be aiming to keep Rangers occupied in that respect. Just though has gone offside from Stephen Wright's long ball. And Mikhailichenko almost reluctantly making his way back on. He is a character who at times gives an impression of lack of interest in the match, but he really is a marvellous technician. John Brown. Irvin's header, his bet. The three up for Aberdeen in a line. But Richard Gough taking charge with Andy Gorham, of course, two Scottish internationals in the Rangers defence, neither of whom were born in Scotland. Gorham, who hails from Lancashire. Gough was born in Sweden, brought up in South Africa. In fact, his mother still lives in Sweden. Chance for a family reunion in the European Championships. The Rangers movement breaks down, and it was going on without Ian Ferguson, who is limping back into play after picking up an early bang. That's a source of alarm for Walter Smith. Mikhailichenko. Here's Grant. David Winnie, who's the successor to David Robertson, as Aberdeen's left back. The teams have met twice this season in the Premier League. On both occasions, the away side has been the victor. Aberdeen went to Ibrox and won 2-0. Rangers came here just before Christmas and won an enthralling game by 3 goals to 2. And certainly all the feeling talking to the two camps is that this should be an open encounter tonight. There's a lot of attacking force on both sides. Spackman and Ferguson. Dutch goalkeeper Theo Snelders didn't commit himself too soon. He in fact made the save look quite straightforward as Ferguson drilled the shot within his reach.
Well, I'm sure that was a little bit of concern for the Aberdeen back four there, because Ian Ferguson found a big gap. Hit the ball quite sweetly, but straight at Theo Snelders, unfortunately for Rangers.
Ferguson, who's played most of his football with the Ibrox club as a midfield player, but when he was at St Mirren was regarded as a goal-getting forward runner, and the most famous goal he's ever got won the Scottish Cup back in 1987 at the expense of Dundee United. Free kick to Aberdeen. Here's Wright. Another off the production line at Pataudry. Cleared by McCall. Heavily dealt with by Winnie. McKimmie, so often the right back, but having to play in the centre of Aberdeen's defence with Alec McLeish on crutches at the moment. And really that's been the essence of Aberdeen's problems this season, not just the injuries, but the way they've particularly affected the defence. Offside against Booth. At one time, Alex Smith had his entire first choice back four unavailable. And there's been a bit of impatience amongst Aberdeen supporters in this part of the world who've been so used to success, as Aberdeen have blossomed into one of Europe's foremost clubs. Already a message going from the manager down to the dugout. This is Hillhouse. All the way by McCall with that energetic style of his. Neat play by Ferguson, who's certainly shaken off the earlier injury problem. Mikhailichenko, good running by Robertson, which is one of the strengths of his play. And Aberdeen know all about that. Oh, it was a cross of really wicked dimensions from David Robertson. It's part of Aberdeen's plan tonight to try and curtail the forward runs of Robertson down the left and Gary Stevens down the right. But theory and practice, Gordon, far apart then.
Yeah, I think they'll be quite glad to see that one getting cleared out of the box. It was a rash tackle by Brian Irvine in the first place that Davy Robertson sprints past him here, whips a great cross and deflects off at David Winnie, bounces out, and Aberdeen clear the danger.
Irvine jumping with Ferguson, cleared by Wright. Rangers trying to put the record straight in recent times in the Scottish Cup. It's incredible to think that in the 11 years since Rangers last lifted the trophy, Aberdeen have had their hands on it 5 times. Here's Paul Mason. Now Grant. Right, Mikhailichenko tripped him. And Spatman actually thought the free kick had been given against him, but it was the Ukrainian who was the culprit there.
Yeah, I think Wright just nicks the ball in front of him there, and Mikhailichenko dives in, but it was a little bit late, to say the least.
Wright can't get forward well enough. There's no doubt that Aberdeen's league form and the injuries have played a part in that, but nevertheless it's been a major disappointment.
Yeah, it has been a disappointing season for Aberdeen, but a few successes is just round the corner for them. They've got so many exciting youngsters coming through. They've got to get sets before long, coupled with the injured players coming back.
Well, it's been quite ironic. Aberdeen, one of the few parts of Britain where the recession off the field, so to speak, hasn't bit. The house prices are still going up, they tell me, in Aberdeen. But on the football field, the quality has been going down slightly. Spatman. Ferguson doing well. He's been very involved in the opening sorties for Rangers, and he's earned them a free kick.
You were mentioning about the loss of Haley, but in actual fact, Ian Ferguson started the game very impressive indeed.
Here's Mikhailichenko. McCoist looking to show some mobility in the pairing with Ferguson again. Given away by Spatman. Easy for Goff to see that one coming. McCall. Now Wright. The Rangers back line trying to compress the play, but Scott Booth comes up with one answer, gets past Brown as well, battles on against Goff, who then miscalculates with the header. Booth almost with a real reward for his enterprise there. We've had 10 minutes at Pittodrie. McCoist, Ferguson anticipating a flick, and McKimmie anticipating Ferguson. Part of Aberdeen's disappointment, it was shared with Rangers as well, an early exit from European involvement. And Mikhailchenko trying to be a bit too clever there. Jess. Was expertly done. Well, he wanted the advantage then. Just look at Ian Jess, the team mascots look older than he does.
I think it's important tonight that John Brown and Richard Goff develop a good understanding, particularly with the movement off the ball of Scott Booth and Ian Jess.
Bet usually so precise at his free kicks. Who isn't the tallest attacker, but has a real spring in his leap, as you saw there.
There's a little free kick in here by Jim Bett. Swings it over to the back post, and Hillhouse rises above Gary Stevens there, but got no real direction on the header.
Well, there's an incentive for Hans Hillhouse to try and recapture his form with Holland, of course, qualifying for the European Championship finals. Hillhouse was a member of their 1990 World Cup squad in Italy. Determined work from Mason. Grant springing ahead of him. Mason goes on. Bet, can he line up a shot here? He does. But with not the required power. Impressive movement by Aberdeen to get into that position.
I think we're going to have a tremendous midfield battle tonight. We've got Jim Bett and Stuart McCall. Stuart McCall that does play for Scotland, and Jim Bett that a lot of his wish still did. He'll be a key figure for Aberdeen tonight. And if they give him the room and the space, he can cause you plenty problems. Terrific passer of the ball.
And he was put in possession there by some elusive play from Paul Mason, who's come back to Aberdeen after a summer where he was hoping to perhaps get a chance belatedly in his native England. He was linked with Blackburn Rovers, did some training at Ewood Park. I don't think they quite appreciated his value and what he'd achieved with Aberdeen. Offside against McCoist, who of course has played in England with Sunderland, and in stark contrast in fortunes for what happened to him when he returned with Rangers. An absolutely marvellous goal-scoring record, and at less than £200,000 in 1983, he must be one of the great Rangers bargains.
Certainly.
Here's Mikhailchenko. Bet, pressed by Ferguson. McKimmie. Robertson in the way, but the header was a bit of a tame one. Mason saw it coming. Robertson then has to concede the throw. Rangers clearing their lines with so many of their supporters at the beach end. A goal that Rangers are defending, and still latecomers arriving. It's a match they don't want to miss. They haven't missed the goal. Mason.
I'm sure Dale Gordon would like to see a bit of the ball to impress the watching England manager here. So far in the game, they've not really got the ball out to Dale Gordon at all.
Stevens. Grant. Now Hillhouse. Brown in the way for Rangers. Returned forcefully by McKimmie. Hillhouse making up ground on Goff, who rather dismissed Andy Gorham then. Spurned the back pass. The gap, and Gordon McQueen will explain it better than I could, but when defenders are facing their own goalkeeper then, and the gap between defender and goalkeeper gets smaller and smaller, the problems start to mount.
Yeah, well, I thought maybe Andy Gorham was just a little bit indecisive there. He stood coming out. Richard Gough couldn't see what was behind him. He makes a decision up there for Richard Gough, but Richard Gough got out of the situation beautifully.
Well, already Graham Taylor has spotted something that requires a note to jog his memory at a future date. Gordon coming into the centre now to try and get some involvement. And one thing Dale Gordon can contribute is a goal or two. He's got 5 already for Rangers since he signed in the autumn. 5 before that for Norwich City this season. Right. Here's Brown. Again, although the ball is in the Rangers' half of the field, in the other half, Ferguson and McCoist were really moving with thought to try and make a long pass possible, try and get the better of Irvine, who wins the header there, and McKimmie alongside him. Here's Gough. McKimmie able to cope, and Gordon just stopping Hillhouse settling. It's noticeable that Hillhouse is quite prepared to defend on the left-hand side for Aberdeen. Mindful of Gary Stevens, who's got the ball now, and it's Hillhouse first to close him down. McCall. Here's Gordon. McCoist and Ferguson in the middle, and they'll stay there because Rangers have a corner.
Yeah, I think teams are very wary of Gary Stevens and Davy Robertson making forward runs, and Aberdeen front three have spread themselves over the full breadth of the pitch. It's got Booth wide on the right and Hillhouse wide on the left. Mikhailchenko
trying to bend it in towards goal, and he's done that too extravagantly. In fact, in golfing parlance, he hooked it. He's going to blame the gloves now because they're coming off.
Yeah, it was a very poor corner kick, but in actual fact it's one of his specialities, corner kicks, because he whips in these terrific in-swingers that are a nightmare for defenders. But I'm afraid that wasn't one of his better ones.
Brown. Irvine and this offside on that occasion against Jess, who had a dual qualification because of his father, who's an Ulsterman. But Scotland, I'm sure, delighted that he and Jess plumped for this country. McCoist. Here comes Spackman. Theo Snelders has been such a success since he came from Dutch football. His 4th season here. In his first, he was Scotland's Player of the Year. Mikhailchenko would love to be similarly honoured. Stevens. I'm sure Graham Taylor knows all about the strengths of Gary Stevens, who has played 42 times for England. Has had to give way at right back to Arsenal's Lee Dixon over the last year or so. McCall. Here's Gordon. Ferguson goes to the near post. It's a corner again. And Mikhailchenko, having wasted the previous one, will want to do better this time.
Actually, David Winnie in the left-back position for Aberdeen settled down nicely. He's got in a very important couple of tackles here.
And Aberdeen very slow to react to a short corner. Gordon with that trick over the ball, that's one of his trademarks. Gough's header. Spackman trying to keep the pressure on. And McCoist! Not a classic. obviously matters for Rangers, and Ali McCoist, with his 25th goal of the season, has drawn first blood here for Rangers.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Mark, they were a little bit slow to react to the short corner. Richard Goff is up for the set pieces, gets into the back post there. Scott Booth heads clear, gets knocked back into the box. You think Ali McCoist had just miscontrolled it here, sticks out his left peg and it just trundles past Theo Snell does. We see it here again. You think he's miscontrolled it here. Who does it go off? Ali McCoist just sneaks it into the post there.
Well, there's no one better at rather muddling home goals, because they all count the same, however they get in. And although McCoist has been noted recently for missing a few, he's been scoring plenty. And what value he brings to Rangers. As the ball dropped to him after Aberdeen had undoubtedly been lax, and their knuckles will be wrapped, I'm sure, by their coaching staff for not reacting initially when the corner was played short to Gordon, who was able to get in a decent cross, and Aberdeen never cleared it from then on. Stevens in a chase here with Hillhouse. There isn't much room on this tight little ground when the ball runs out of play for players to put the brakes on. Here's McCall.
I wouldn't imagine Aberdeen would change their tactics in any way, because it's an attacking formation they've played tonight, and I don't think they'll change things in any way. They'll keep playing away, and they've just got to be patient if they hope to get back into this game.
Rangers are just prepared to take a little extra time at the back as their supporters celebrate, and it is a rich vein of form that Rangers are in at the moment, even by their lofty standards. They've won 9 of their previous 10 games, and they've scored first in a most demanding third-round Scottish Cup tie here. Aberdeen, for their part, have come back to a home game after 3 successful matches on the road, as they say in the States. They won 4-0, of course, at Hearts, which was an absolutely magnificent success. At Motherwell, they were 3 times behind and drew 3-3. They were 2 down at Falkirk and got back to 2-2. Now they've got to fight on from behind again here. Here's Mason. Booth trying to get there against David Robertson. In comes Grant in the battling style. Wright keeps it in, and then was fouled by McCoist, unseen by referee and linesman. In fact, Aberdeen technically still had the ball. Brown, and it's a throw to Aberdeen.
Yeah, Ali McCoist seems to be very unhappy. I think Stephen Wright, just when he was following through to kick the ball into the Rangers' defence, he just followed through and caught Ali McCoist.
Wright's cross wasn't deep enough. Calico's clearance told him something about the grit of Brian Irvine. McCall, McKimmie. Knocked off it by Ferguson. But first McCoist and then Ferguson, setting a good example as the front men help out in the defending. But it is a free kick to Aberdeen. Irvine beaten well by Goff, who jumps again effectively. Mason. There's Hillhouse, and in the end, the shot from Jim Bett when he was off balance.
Well, the match is certainly very competitive, that's for sure. It'll be a difficult match for Joe Timmins to referee tonight.
So far, so good for Rangers. Irvine. All three of Aberdeen's front players involved in this attack. And it nearly produced their best moment of the match. Hans Hielhaus stopped really in the act of shooting. It's a corner. Winnie's come forward. Irvine as well is on the scene. Just to take the corner. That was McKimmie. No one's located it yet. And the first to do that was Gough. And after heading the ball down, he was downed himself. Free kick to Rangers. Yeah, that's what they need. You can see in Richard Gough's expression there, he feels that Aberdeen have just raised the game a little.
Yeah, they're certainly applying a bit of pressure on Rangers, but you've got to remember Rangers get the best defensive league in Scottish football. But that was a great attacking header from the corner kick from Richard Gough.
Gordon. McCoist. They forced another corner. Walter Smith. Well, it's that kind of game. Maybe watching in the stand as he did for the opening 25 minutes didn't give him the full involvement. He wants to be in the thick of it on the bench. McCall. Oh, Gordon might have been offside. Indeed, an offside decision. Dale Gordon, the latest of a long line of Norwich City players who have been sold at great profit. He was locally produced at Carrow Road. Of a sporting background, his father was a professional cyclist. Put out by Gough. Hielhaus trying to keep the speed and the momentum of Aberdeen's play with a quick throw. Here's McKimmie. Winnie. Off the head of Brown. Nigel Spackman, who's the most defensive of Rangers midfield players, but he was caught out then. Hielhaus. Oh, John Brown. It wasn't a difficult header, but it was an important one, as Ian Jess was poised behind him.
Yeah, he was just nicely positioned there, John Brown. He's one of these players that comes in when other players are injured and never lets Rangers down at all. And a terrific competitor. Well suited to this match tonight.
Yes, there's plenty of technical skill in both sides, but you do sense it's a game that's got to be played from the heart as well. Here's Wright. Mason. Get it back to Ruth. McCoist, who is getting the bird from the crowd because they felt he'd caught Stephen Wright cynically. I think our replay could be used by McCoist in evidence for his defence. It'll be very sweet for David Robertson. Some good times in the Scottish Cup in Aberdeen's colours if he could be a winner here tonight. Winnie. That's excellent screening by Hielhaus that earned him the right to turn with the ball, but he overdid it in the end. Gordon got back. Ian Ferguson, as I mentioned, was in the St Mirren Scottish Cup winning team. So was one of tonight's Aberdeen players, David Winnie, in 1987. Grant. Now Wright. Brown having a look to see what was on, knowing that the back pass had to be absolutely sure.
The match really is fiercely competitive. Players like Jim Bett and Nigel Spack and Stuart McCall just cannot afford to put their foot in the ball for any length of time at all.
Ferguson. Gordon's gone infield. Ferguson doing all the hard graft down the right-hand side, and I must say, well, he hasn't played too often recently, Ian Ferguson, but he looks fresh and really willing for this task.
Yeah, very strong as well. I mean, that was a terrific little cross in there that would have given Dale Gordon half a chance there.
This time, Mikhailchenko has passed on the responsibility at the corner to Gordon. Goff and Brown to attack it on the edge of the area, just making sure it doesn't get to Goff. McCall. Aberdeen pushed out, and there was nowhere for Rangers to run. Strong play by Robertson. In the end, a tribunal fixed the fee for David Robertson, £970,000 Rangers had to pay Aberdeen. Irving getting close to Ferguson. The Rangers come again with McCall. Stevens, Gordon is trying to trick Aberdeen there, with McCoist involved as well. Mikhailchenko, who's won the equivalent of this competition in the Soviet Union with Dynamo Kiev on a couple of occasions. Of course, was a championship winner in Italy with Sampdoria last season, although he wasn't a regular in the side. For reasons I think that had more to do with dressing room politics than any lack of ability on his part. Here's McKimmie. Booth through the centre at the moment in Jess on the right, as Aberdeen trying to come up with a formula to get back on level terms. Here's McCall. Mikhailchenko. Beck doing the harassing. McCall. McCoist and Ferguson again thinking carefully about their positioning at the throw. Booth, Grant, can he get the better of McCall? Not quite. That was important defending in midfield by Stuart McCall. Rangers, for their part, have 3 up at the moment, 3.5 really. Mikhailchenko trying to get there. Robertson. Certainly not. We have what we hold policy from the Premier League leaders. It would, I think, be foolhardy to take that attitude in a match of this magnitude, where Aberdeen are sure to have spells in the game where they will be more threatening than they are at the moment. McCoist. Here's Ferguson. Mikhailchenko coming in on the blind side and hoping the cross would be a bit deeper than that. Snelder's not wasting any time, releasing the ball to right. Here's Grant. There's a way out on the left-hand side through Bett. Mason's got into the middle. Booth is there as well. And Nigel Spackman reacting to the knockdown header.
Yeah, good defensive play here by Nigel Spackman. Of course, he's a tremendous workhorse, and it must be great for the Rangers back foot to have somebody like that playing in front of you that works so hard.
Jess with a corner. It's over Irvin. Mason. For Jess again. Still Aberdeen have a chance to deliver the ball into the Rangers penalty area with some accuracy. Grant. Irvine is looking to ease it on. Grant. Irvine, who was starting to make his way back and has thought better of it. As Bet takes on his old club. And there wasn't much backlift on that shot. And Andy Gorham was able to get to it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a long-range effort here, but it's Aberdeen's first real strike at goals. And it really, I think it was going past the post anyway. I wasn't going to trouble Andy Gorham, but the game's just all very hectic so far.
McCall playing safe. Feel a bit of backing in by McCoist on Winnie, who has been penalised. Nine minutes to go to half-time. Rangers lead here by a 1-0. Almost inviting Rangers to try the shot, and McCoist well, he accepted the invitation, but not with any great technique, as it turned out. But he must feel at the moment that he really is on a golden streak, even by his standards. It's been a goal a game for more than 20 matches, and only the very exceptional finishers achieve that. Goff. Gordon perhaps wondering whether there was a player behind him. Then he couldn't have got a call because there was none, but that's the type of little deception that Rangers have come up with once or twice. Mikhalichenko trying to impose himself on the match. And he may well have done that with a fine ball to Robertson. Looked out by Grant. It's good play by Booth. And here's Bet. Mason was trying to make space on the right. Spackman is very aggrieved that a challenge is ruled as being unfair, and he's going to get himself booked for it.
No, I just think that was 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, and I think it's a very harsh decision with the referee to book Nigel Spackman there. Fought very hard to get the ball, bit of jostling, but certainly never warranted a booking.
But a booking it is. Just trying to create space for Irvine to attack the ball, and in fact it's come all the way round the back for Jess. Irvine's gone into the middle, and teasing cross to the near post this time. Brown did well to deal with it.
I think probably the quality of crosses into the box is the one thing that's let Aberdeen down so far in this first half.
Jess tries again with a corner. In comes McKimmie, late on the proceedings. Spackman flipped it away. And McCoist head down with a long way to go. And he was challenged by Grant from behind, allowing Wright to get in front of McCoist and win the ball back for Aberdeen. Brown. Well, I think Aberdeen felt McCoist might have handled, but he was bumped in the back by Irvine. McCoist at the moment is on a short fuse. Brian Irvine is a very controlled character. And is quite wondering what it's all about, I think. And Ali McCoist has recovered a little bit of his charm, enough to offer the hand, or accept the handshake. And still words were being exchanged as the two of them headed for the penalty area. Grant. For the most part, although Rangers have had some penalty area pressure to deal with at their end, they've been able to defend this lead with a fair degree of organisation and discipline. Richard Gough and Nigel Spackman exchanging views at the moment, perhaps on that subject. Gordon. And Brown helping Gough out then by just telling him the safe ball was back to the goalkeeper, and Gough obliged.
Yeah, Rangers have handled things very comfortable at the back in this first half, but you need to keep your concentration for 90 minutes, because it's a tasty forward line Aberdeen have got, and could cause the best defences problems.
Right. Gary Stevens with a back pass. His Scottish Cup memories not too happy. The final against Celtic in 1989. Last time Rangers got to the final, and it was his misplaced back pass that let Joe Miller in for the only goal of that final. Mikhailichenko opting to cross early. Oh, Gordon. The first touch took the ball too close to McKimmie. Bet. That's typical of Ian Jess. Bright mind, excellent skill, and Dale Gordon showing that he's not just an entertainer in the opposing half, he can take his share of the defensive responsibilities as well.
Yeah, I think Dale Gordon, if he's wanting to impress Graham Taylor, he'd be like to be doing things like that at the other end and running at the Aberdeen left back, but that's not happened so far. He's seen very little of the ball.
Well, he's done a trick now on Jim Bett, and he's lined up a shot which bounced in the end reasonably comfortably for Snelders.
I think Dale Gordon must have heard this there. 1 second you're saying he's having a quiet game, and a lovely little turn and a shot.
Well, Graham Taylor watching there in the glasses in the centre of your picture. He's had a busy time recently. He's been in Sweden for the European Championship draw. He popped over to France to check on Trevor Steven and Chris Waddle, playing for Marseille in Nîmes at the weekend. Here's Jess. Wright's cross. Gorham's strong and confident catch. Andy Gorham, who played cricket, of course, for Scotland, and I'm sure, along with a lot of other people in football, will be taking time out to watch the Cricket World Cup on Sky Sports, which is coming up next month. Absolute must. Cricket and football we've got for you. Fantastic diet of entertainment.
I don't think Scotland are playing in that one, Martin.
Well, if they were, Andy Gorham wouldn't be allowed to play, because Rangers have said no more cricket. I think that's very cruel. He's a fine cricketer, but of course an international class goalkeeper. Undoubtedly Scotland's number one. McKimmie, Aberdeen not wanting to go back to their goalkeeper, and Rangers trying to press them in. But Gordon, you're summing up of the first half, which is drawing to a close.
Yeah, well, I think the whole thing's just been very hectic, competitive as expected, but it's been very, very hectic. And the Aberdeen back four have been conceding a lot more goals than they have in recent years, and you wonder if they can hold out and not concede any more. But at the same time, they're always capable up front. You know, players Scott Booth, Ian Jess and Hans Heelhuis are all good players, but so far Rangers have handled everything comfortably in the back.
Well, one major absence from Ali McCoist's trophy cabinet is a Scottish Cup winners' medal. He's made a good start, but he's going to be a winner eventually at the end of this season in this most testing of third-round ties. He gave Rangers the lead in the 20th minute with a typical piece of opportunism. Aberdeen have rather huffed and puffed since then. We've seen some thoughtful touches from Ian Jess. But at half-time at Pittodrie, it's Aberdeen 0, Rangers 1. Back to Pittodrie, it is my feeling that we have by no means seen the best of this tie yet. Aberdeen surely fired up by Alex Smith as they prepare to start the second half. A goal down, they've come back to home territory, having scored 9 times in 3 away matches, and they badly need to recapture that touch in front of goal to stay in the Scottish Cup. Here's Gordon, though, who lead thanks to the predatory instincts of Ali McCoist yet again. And Ferguson had a fine first half. Gordon is there. Can he walk away through? And Ferguson was on the scene until Irvine, shaking his head there at the defensive chaos.
Well, this is a fair old scramble, this. Ian Ferguson tries it back heel, doesn't come off. Irvine tries to tackle it, falls behind Gordon, and eventually get it away for a corner kick.
Spackman and Mikhailichenko.
I think it's important this half for Aberdeen midfield players to get on the ball, get good service into Booth, Jess, Heelhuis, getting balls into feet, getting them turning the Rangers defence, and also getting decent crosses into the box. That's something they've never done in the first half, but at the same time keep things tight at the back.
Well, he's been involved in a very successful video of his exploits that's selling very well all over Britain. Such a popular character, Ali McCoist, and the second edition, I should imagine, will be underway. The amount of goals he's got recently. Robertson, Mikhailichenko in quite a difficult situation then, but making light of it. Rangers have Ian Ferguson hurt again in the other half of the pitch, as he was early in the first half. He's staying down now. Andy Gorham thinking about having to kick the ball out here. Having a good look at Ferguson, and it's got to go out. Now let me remind you once again that Mark Hateley failed to recover in time to be included in Rangers 13 tonight, and he certainly would have started the game, of course. Paul Rideout, who's been signed as cover for Hateley, is injured and ineligible for this match, so Ferguson's damage there.
Well, Ian Ferguson's a player that gets much criticism from the big Rangers support, but he's looked very sharp tonight. It'll be a big blow for him personally if he has to go off after looking so sharp in the first half. And if they do, I would imagine Peter Hoystra would come on and play up front alongside Ali. But I certainly expect to see goals in the second half, because Aberdeen have got to make a big push. Who'll score them, I don't know.
Well, Ferguson prepared to soldier on for the moment. But I don't think Ferguson will be able to continue for much longer. And Peter Houstra, who wasn't asked to come on at the weekend when Rideout went off injured, and was very disappointed at that, might now got a chance. He's already getting the bottom parts of the tracksuit off. It's, I think, just a matter of time. Meanwhile, Mikhailchenko concentrating on looking for a second goal here and setting one up for McCoist. And Rangers getting on with the job and not worrying about the change.
Well, it was Ian Ferguson that set this one up, knocked out to Mikhailchenko, and Ali McCoist, who's terrific at getting into near post positions. There's much made about his imagination and his finishing ability, but he's very, very brave as well. He's terrific at getting into near post and puts his head in when the boots are flying.
Spackman. Here's Jess. You do sense that a lot of responsibility is resting on his young shoulders for Aberdeen. He's the man very much in form. One goal that he scored recently at Tynecastle was as good as you could wish to see anywhere at any level of the game. Grant. Closed down quickly by McCall. Spackman trying to do the same to Bet. Mikhailchenko there to prevent Wright coming forward. Rangers going about their business, but it runs for Bet. There's no one of the three strikers. They were too far spread then. Booth trying to make Robertson play it, but it's a Rangers throw. And Halstro's had to sit down again. Ferguson wanting to go on with the game. Halstra and Scott Nisbet are the Rangers substitutes. Here's Booth. Well, hanging on for long enough to give Rangers perhaps an unnecessary problem there. It's a rash challenge by Robertson. Is that the good fortune that Aberdeen need? Scott Booth was really going nowhere. The outcome, this free kick. Here's Bet. A lot of players in red in the centre. And Bet gets the ball there as well. Coram! They needed two goes at it.
I think this is one of the few occasions that Aberdeen have got past the last man, Jim Beck, getting across there. I think maybe Hulehouse nudging into Andy Gorham, but he managed to clutch onto it at the second attempt.
Hillhouse getting the elevation again. Here he is on the ball now. Jess, brilliantly done. Lured Goff in. Stevens recovers. That won't have gone unnoticed by Graham Taylor. Gary Stevens, always exceptional acceleration. And Rangers needed him to be on his best behaviour defensively then, after Richard Goff was left high and dry by the excellence of Jess's turn. McCoist can't get very far. It's Wright who knocks it long. Goff. Stevens, it's out of play.
Yeah, he really has got tremendous pace, Gary Stevens, and Lee Dixon must be some player if Gary Stevens can't get into the England side.
McKimmie. Aberdeen have to be patient. They have to believe in their method. They just have to work that much harder. Try and break Rangers down. Not once, really, but twice. Because, although they have won at Ibrox this season, obviously the odds would swing Rangers' favour if it was to be a draw tonight. Here's Brown. And Booth's trying to upset him a bit. Ferguson, but find McCoist or Spackman. Winnie. Hillhouse. Did that as he was slipping down. And there was a pull there by McCall on Mason. Pulled at his collar, but he got away with it.
The Aberdeen fans down below us here weren't too happy about that decision. McCall appeared to pull his jersey.
Winnie, who's strong in the air, has played in the centre of defence, of course, as well. And the home support getting incensed now. Stevens was claiming, I'm sure that was an honest challenge on Hillhouse, but it is a free kick. Aberdeen were trying to take it quickly. The referee quite concerned, understandably, that Hillhouse, after a bang on the head, was properly fit to go on. Bet. Now right. Aberdeen looking to stretch the play on the far side with Booth and Mason. Rangers again keeping their shape and posing the sort of problems that Aberdeen can't break down.
Well, really, I mean, Aberdeen would love to push Winnie forward, they'd love to push right forward, but they're just not able to do this in the game because the Rangers front three are working so hard. Ian Ferguson, Ali McCoy's going and closing players down and just not letting them build up from the back.
Offside against Ferguson after some splendid work by Spackman. Still concerned on the Rangers bench about the well-being of Ian Ferguson or otherwise. It's a good touch from him, and maybe he needed it after getting caught offside unnecessarily a few seconds ago, rather. Here's Gordon with a run that was matched by Winnie, and it's a corner. Rangers facing now their fantastic support. Dale Gordon, one of their new favourites, Richard Gough, who's been around much longer, of course. Snelders again, although the one goal has come from a set piece, from a short corner in fact, the bulk of the restarts from corner kick situations have been rather unimpressive tonight.
Yeah, the quality of the corner kicks and the set pieces in general haven't been very good tonight at all. I mean, they tried Makalichenko early on taking him, who's normally very good at them. They've switched to Dale Gordon with not much more success than Makalichenko is getting.
McCoy's just making a nuisance of himself then and getting the decision, Winnie not too happy. That was ruled as a push. Stevens, now Gordon. Able to get round the outside of Hillhouse. "12 minutes gone in the second half, and Rangers solidly defending the one-goal lead given to them by Ali McCoist. And Aberdeen, at the moment, needing to find that extra essential ingredient of cup tie success, which is inspiration, really. Maybe just a stroke of fortune, which, of course, has turned many a cup tie in the past. Hillhouse. Grant. But that's about as far as Aberdeen are getting.
Yeah, well, Richard Gough in the heart of the Rangers defence tonight has been absolutely superb. Cool, composed, and terrific aerial ability as well, in both boxes. Of course, it was his knockdown that led to Ali McCoy's goal.
Gordon. He's got McCoist in a deeper position. Gordon trying to put on a show here. A fine cross. Ferguson looking to attack it at the near post. McKimmie mindful of his responsibilities for Aberdeen. Well, Dale Gordon put the last corner right into the hands of Theo Snelders. What can he come up with this time? The Rangers, for the most part, coming from deep. It's the goalkeeper again in a similar area. John Brown was trying to make life awkward for the Dutchman. Mason. Grant lets it run. Here's Hillhouse. Plenty forward for Aberdeen in this attack. This is Winnie. Jess got to it well, and Booth very nearly benefited from that. Here's Mikhailichenko, and McCoist is offside. Well, David Livingston has been watching from down on the touchline. David.
Martin, I've been watching Ian Ferguson in particular since he took that knock on his left ankle. He's certainly looking sharp enough, but he seems to be playing through the pain barrier. He's a player who's been used to injury, and with Paul Rideout in the stand injured and Mark Haitley, perhaps he sees a chance for himself to establish a regular place in the team. He's certainly going through the pain barrier at the moment. I think he's determined to stay in that field.
It's a booking for Irvine.
Well, I think we'd mentioned earlier in the game, Joe Timmins got the Nigel Spackman booking wrong, but he certainly got that one right. Ali McCoy's good control, just nicks it away here, and Brian Irvine comes in and sides him.
Half an hour to go. The frustrations for Aberdeen are mounting.
Yeah, well, Rangers, we hope Ali McCoy's got something to speak, because as we just mentioned there, with two strikers sitting in the stand already, they cannot afford to be without Ali.
Well, Mark Haitley, who hasn't played for England since the 1988 European Championships in Germany, which was a disastrous competition from England's point of view, but there's been plenty of support for his cause coming from Scotland, but he needs to be playing. Scott Booth is replaced by Paul Kane. Drew Jarvie supervising the first substitution for Aberdeen. So the plan of playing three attackers hasn't borne fruit. Kane, who's a very versatile character, can operate full-back or in midfield.
Yeah, it looks as if Paul Kane's moving into a midfield role and they're going to push Paul Mason forward a bit. But as you said, Paul Kane can play in various positions.
Hillhouse. Throw to Rangers, who will feel that they're putting on here, and feel with some justification, a very solid professional performance. They believe they are the best side in Scotland. The best side doesn't always win cup competitions. And Ferguson didn't need to react there really to Kane. And the referee telling him to calm down. And Kane also being spoken to, and he did really, one would think, not deserve the ticking off. He just got the ball, and how the play it went, it's a Rangers throw. Maybe Ferguson just felt a knock on that damaged ankle again. Gordon, and he wasn't sure where the ball had gone. In fact, it's passed behind for a goal kick. Jess. That is a push by Kane that time. Walter Smith, who started the second half back in the stands and is obviously a man who doesn't feel the cold, has come down to where most of the other inhabitants of this area are wrapped up against the elements. McCoist actually impeded Hillhouse. McCoist reluctantly has accepted his punishment for persistent infringement. judging by that referee.
Yeah, I think he was trying to tell him he committed infringements in 4 different parts of the field. But I didn't really see a great deal in that.
And now Mikhailchenko flattened by Mason. It's been competitive throughout. It's starting to get fierce now. Robertson, and then when it was knocked long by Spackman, it was given away by Rangers. Ian Ferguson clearly biting on the bullet. And the Rangers not needing to make a change if Ferguson feels he can go on, because the shape of the side looks solid. And certainly the two up front are able to relieve the pressure when Rangers just knock it forward. But a cup tie can change in a flash, and Aberdeen hoping now that the fates will smile on them. It hasn't been a convincing performance from Alex Smith's team. And the Rangers supporters already believe they're through to the 4th round. Well, a 1-0 lead, as many a team could tell you in this competition, is a fragile one. And Aberdeen have been presented with a throw now, which Bet takes. Mikhailchenko in the way. There's McCoy's first to it, but cut out by McKimmie.
I think it's getting to a stage in the game now. Aberdeen are going to have to take chances, because there have been no joy whatsoever against the Rangers defence, and maybe it's a bit time they started pushing, for example, young Stephen Wright forward and try and get him to get good crosses into the box.
There's been scant supply to Jess or Hillhouse, and while he was on Booth, but Mason is up there now. Here's Mikhailchenko. It's a free kick, earned by the Ukrainian. A member now of the Commonwealth of Independent States. McCoy. Ferguson couldn't quite get there, he was covered well. Stevens. Gordon. Blocked by Kane. 1 or 2 Rangers appeals for a penalty, but the ball just thudded into Kane. He could do nothing about it. Jess. Kane's tackle. Breaks for Wright. Oh, and Winnie needed a call then. McCoy came on his blind side. Paul trying to help it on. Kane. Bet. Can he find the pass here that Aberdeen are looking for? Mikhailchenko stops some of the rhythm. Mason. Out comes Brown, his tough, stern competitor at the back. I should imagine is a very reassuring presence out on the pitch in these circumstances. No frills about John Brown, but very effective. Mikhailchenko stopped the ball going out for an Aberdeen throw with an extravagant back pass. But kept Walter Smith's team in possession. Ferguson and McCoist up front still for Rangers, no switch in that. Here's Ferguson. He left Irvin, Spackman, 2 to his left, one of whom was David Robertson. And Jess having to help back, and how Aberdeen need him in the other half of the pitch.
Yeah, Aberdeen just don't seem to be able to get any sustained pressure in the Rangers half at all. It's been a tremendous battling performance from Rangers.
Mikhailchenko Aberdeen have got to be careful here to time any tackles, and they've done that through Bet on the stretch. But a corner is conceded. So it's Gough at the near post, but it's a shortish corner again from Rangers. Gordon, Spackman, Mikalichenko against Grant. That's Gordon, and it'll come from Mikalichenko on his strong side, and they'd all gone near post if any of those three Rangers players had just pulled out a little bit. There would have been a straightforward chance. But Aberdeen uncertain again.
Yeah, well, that was a tremendous opportunity there for a poor crossing with Mikalichenko. Ali McCoist and John Brown in terrific positions at the near post.
Jess. Well, there's an offside, but the ball hasn't gone into the Aberdeen half. Brown up well again. Bet. Picked out by both managers before the game as a key performer. But he, like the rest of the Aberdeen team, found it very hard going in this third round Scottish Cup tie. But this could change. Gough again clears his penalty area with a minimum of fuss. McKimmie. Aberdeen pressing Rangers back. Mason.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to clip them a bit harder than that to trouble Andy Gorham. But it's really only their second goal attempt tonight. Both win with Heelhouse in the first half have been very average attempts. In fact, not even that good.
Alex Smith's been disappointed with the lack of patience with a certain section of the Aberdeen crowd. But there might be some joy for them here with Hillhouse. Bet. Gordon's there. McCoist coming back to help out. It's rather a stray one from Stevens. And then McCall bounces back off McCall again. Right. Well, Mikalichenko very nearly stole the ball fairly done. And had he done so, Aberdeen would have been in distress. But I think
yeah, well, I think Mikalichenko he'd won similar in the first half, and he's probably getting booked for persistent fouling here. He's maybe just a touch late getting in here.
Just a touch.
Stephen right.
Well, the card is universal, of course. Mikalichenko's English isn't too clever as yet, but he knows what's happened to him at the referee's discretion. McKimmie. McCall. And Aberdeen, who are gambling with players forward. They've left three at the back, two up for Rangers. This is McCoist. Here comes Mikalichenko. And he turns away, really in disappointment that Rangers hadn't managed to keep pace with his thrust, which was like a dagger into the heart
Well, it was
of Aberdeen.
Stuart McKimmie played everybody on side here. It broke to Ali McCoy's great control initially for Mikalichenko, but really gets across him, but nobody followed it up.
Just with the cross. Gorham with the routine catch. A full house, and if the stadium could have held 3 times that number, you sense it would have been full as well. Such is the support for Rangers, such was the appetite for the fans for this particular tie, which So amazing, really, as it came out of the hat. Very much the luck of the draw, but it's going to be bad luck for one of these two teams. And at the moment, it looks like Aberdeen. But Rangers haven't been able to manufacture the insurance of a second goal. And Aberdeen in the past have turned things round from similar difficulties. The fire put into them originally by Alec Ferguson in his successful time here. He set the standards that others have measured up to, and Aberdeen are now amongst the big clubs of Europe. But their shortfall in league games has shown Gordon really in their performance tonight. They're perhaps not the Aberdeen of the last few years.
Yeah, but as you said, cup tie football, there's still a while to go yet, anything can happen, but that typifies their evening tonight. A long ball out for McKimmie from the back, and a very poor one at that. That's been the story of the evening so far for Aberdeen.
And they've still got injuries, of course, like Alec McLeish, like Robert Connor. But now, Nigel Spackman knocks the ball behind for a corner, and Aberdeen sense that all is not yet lost. We're inside the final 15 minutes. Jess takes the corner. They've looked so often for McKimmie on the edge of the area. Gordon. Away by McCall. Now Snelders will have to come and take charge here. And he does so very well. Stevens. Here's Kane, signing from Oldham. Formerly, of course, with Hibs for a good number of years. Bet, outmanoeuvring Mikhailichenko just for a second. Enough to get the pass away to Mason. But Kane is not able on that occasion to get the ball for Aberdeen. Graham Taylor and Andy Roxburgh still keeping their concentration on a match which may well have a sting in the tail. The Rangers will hope that it's extra agony that they can impart to Aberdeen. And just what's come on and tried to stir it up, really. And he's now getting a lecture from Joe Timmins, who I think has been, given his reaction on other tackles when he's produced the yellow card, concerned that this match might not get out of hand and wanting to keep it firmly under his control. Goff, still Goff, but offside against Ferguson.
I'm just wondering what Graham Taylor makes of all this evening, because it really has been, it's just been a battle from the start of the game until now. And it's a great pity that Graham Taylor might not be going back there. I mean, he doesn't come to Scotland very often, and it's a shame, because we're looking at two sides here that like to get the ball down and like to stroke it around a bit, but that hasn't happened tonight.
There's been no time to do that in midfield, where it's been hurly-burly throughout. And it's a gamble now. Off comes Winnie, and on comes Roddy, Andy Roddy, who is a natural left winger, they say here, in the style of one of their past favourites, Peter Weir, who was so successful back in the 80s. And Roddy has shown in his brief opportunities in the senior side, he's capable of scoring goals. That's what the Aberdeen needs so badly. Straight away holds up Dale Gordon. McCall. That's going to be another corner. Goff aren't staying back even at this stage. Goff maybe got a call from Mikhailichenko. Gordon, no offside. Oh, he could have gone on. Decided to knock it back to McCall. And Gordon now wanted to go on, but he is offside. Hillhouse. And here's Roddy, but McCall able to deal with it. Safely back from Gordon. Defensively, Gordon, there have been very few flaws in the Rangers makeup.
Well, we only need to look at the players that they've got in the back for Richard Goff, Gary Stevens, two of the outstanding defenders in British football. I mean, you've got a front three that are willing to work so hard tonight, just like now, closing down the Aberdeen defence so that they can't build up from the back. It's just making life very difficult for the Dons.
Well, Houstra is going to get his chance, it seems, to get another Dutch dimension to this third-round Scottish Cup tie. And Ian Ferguson now does give way to that ankle problem. But particularly in the first half, he can be very pleased with what he contributed for Rangers tonight.
Yeah, I think he's beginning to suffer a bit with that ankle injury, but as you say, I believe he's had an excellent contribution to the match tonight. I'm sure Walter Smith must be delighted with his performance.
Stevens. McCoist. Stevens. Cole thought about going for it, thought better of it. Chess, Hillhouse. There is such a contrast in emotions here between the two sets of supporters. The Rangers fans roaring their team through, they believe, into the fourth round. And Aberdeen have had so little to cheer about. Jess trying to take the responsibility, which is, to his great credit, coming deep at a time where somebody has got to grasp the nettle for them. At the moment, I think they settled for a second chance at Ibrox.
Yeah, I think they'd be delighted with that, because but from Rangers' point of view, when there's been any threat or danger at all from the Aberdeen, they just get everybody behind the ball and then break quickly like this.
McCoist trying to serve up something for Gordon. Well, Stevens came across Roddy then. Kane to take the free kick. Hillhouse wondering whether it will come his way. Instead it goes towards Mason. He's beaten head and shoulders by Goff. Houstra offside. Must have been quite a close call, that. The ball travelled a long way.
Yeah, I think it was probably just a bit in line with the defender there, but it was a close thing.
Bet. Roddy with responsibilities to stay wide here and maybe pull Gary Stevens out a little bit more than Aberdeen have been able to do. Try perhaps to create a space elsewhere. Well, they provoked a shove on Mason by Brown. Rangers have had so many disappointments in this competition. The last 3 years they've gone out to Celtic. That's disappointment in itself. And you think of them losing to Hamilton Academicals, Dunfermline. Now their 1-0 lead here is under some threat at Jim Bett's free kick. Robertson not only got the header, he's got the ball as well, and he loves to run with it. And he's taken all the difficulty out of Rangers' position, having given away the free kick. Real show of enterprise by the player who was so popular here with Aberdeen. And the Some grudging admiration around the ground, Gordon.
Yes, the Aberdeen supporters have been very quiet. Obviously, the big Rangers support very noisy just now. I think they're just frustrated with the way things, the way Rangers are handling every attack that Aberdeen put forward.
Mikhailchenko with the free kick, and Gordon angled it goalwards. Mason. Trying to keep it going, but Aberdeen have rarely been able to string more than 4 or 5 passes together to get out of the midfield where Rangers have had such a grip. But Mason knocks it on. Hillhouse wondering why he went down, but it was his own fault. Here's Mason. McCoy still irritating Irvine. There was a bit of push and shove as the ball went back to Snelders. Five minutes to go. Can Aberdeen rake the embers here and relight the fire? Irvine. Mikhailchenko, who headed it back where it had come from. Free kick given against Houstra, and is been booked for dissent.
Yeah, there's no question it's a foul by Houston, Roddy, but a little bit of dissent there towards referee Joe Timmins, and he goes into the book.
Well, in Holland, they are known to send the goalkeepers up for corners in these situations, but Theo Snelders is showing some restraint. Only he and Stephen Wright not close or inside the Rangers penalty area. Brown has had a superb game. Goff as well. They've been unshakable in the centre of the defence. Gorham's had very little to do with any difficulty. McCoy. Spackman. Mikhailchenko. And Grant, aware that his man, Stuart McCall, has made tracks into the centre.
This is where Richard Goff's experience will be vital for Rangers in the last few minutes. He'll realise with all his experience it'd be dangerous to sit back and invite Aberdeen onto them at these closing stages. And just now he's organising his defence, making sure everybody's pushed up.
Well, it's no surprise to learn that Richard Goff has been made the sponsors man of the match. Trying to fasten on to an aimed pass by Mikhailchenko that was just cut out.
And just as well it was just cut out because Peter Huyster was clean through, and his Dutch international teammate there, and the game would have been all over for Aberdeen, but as it is, there's still a few minutes left.
But so well have Rangers done without putting on the real finery in their football that they show so often at Ibrox. It never really was going to be that sort of occasion, but they've not really allowed Aberdeen to in any way, by taking risks in the closing stages, make you believe that there was a road back. Still 2 minutes left plus stoppage time, and the work rate goes on. Walter Smith will be delighted with the endeavour that his players have put in. It's been that sort of night to applaud industry and organisation. There's a late tackle now on Grant. It's full play back on Gordon, and by Grant on Gordon.
Well, you need players with good skill and good technical ability to win cuts, but you also need players with grit and determination. And Richard Goff and John Brown have got plenty of that, and they've been rock solid at the back for Rangers this evening.
And I'm sure Aberdeen will feel that they've put on display the grit and determination that they could muster, but it hasn't really shone through in influencing the proceedings. The first goal, always likely to be crucial, but I think coming as early as the 20th minute, it's a surprise if it turns out to be the only goal of the game. And Aberdeen will be very disappointed that, given the amount of time they had to at least make chances to get back in the cup tie, they failed to do that. But here's Mason. Is it going to be a dramatic finale? Wonderful stop by Gorham. And that's when an international goalkeeper who's had very little to do shows what he's made of.
Well, that had goal written all over it. Falls down to Brian Urban here, hits it well. What a fantastic save by Andy Gorham.
A corner taken by Roddy. He'll play it back in again. Oh, and it was Irvine again. But Andy Gorham, who has been standing there behind a defence that's not been punctured.
They just pushed everybody forward here. It falls lovely for big Brian Irvine. And he whacks it. What a fantastic save it was by Andy Gorham. But I think we'd have been looking at a replay there.
Jess. Here's Roddy. Everyone forward for Aberdeen. Irvine goes in again, and Gorham not so sure this time. No foul.
Well, I'm very surprised indeed that the referee never gave a foul for the challenge with Brian Irvine on Andy Gorham, because nowadays if you look at a goalkeeper the wrong way, referee blows his whistle.
Jess. It's the rally that Aberdeen have been looking for, but has it come too late? Free kick against Irvine, who's been at the centre of all the activity, furious at last from the home side's point of view in the last couple of minutes, producing the save of the night for Gorham. Some would say his only save, but when it came, it was absolutely magnificent.
It was an important one, that's for sure.
There was one in the first half from a long-range effort from Jim Bett. But that, Andy Gorham takes his part rightly in the celebrations here. His save prevented a replay and made sure that Ali McCoy's goal in the 20th minute of the match has sent Rangers through into the 4th round of the Tennant Scottish Cup. They couldn't have been pleased when this tie came out of the hat, but they've come through it, and Aberdeen had no answer to their discipline and to the sheer quality of their play and their professionalism. So McCoy's to settle yet another match in Rangers' favour. Richard Gough and John Brown, until the last couple of minutes, were supreme in the centre of the defending, and then when he was called upon, it was Andy Gorham who made an absolutely marvellous save.